Racing Series presented by Menards started racing here at the Kentucky Speedway back in the year 2000. There have been 22 races with 18 different winners, and tonight we'll add another name to a very impressive list.
18 races down. 2 remain. Turn after turn. Lap after lap. We've come to expect the unexpected. From a first-timer.
He's going to win at Toledo.
To a former champion.
He's going to take the checkered flag.
12 different drivers across the stripe first. And one daring rookie has all but stolen the show.
And here comes Briscoe. He's going to take the checkers.
Dominating fashion, too.
Today, the task demands conquering Kentucky Speedway. A place this points leader has never made a start. Will he find his groove and take the checkered? Or will another earn that final flag?
The cars are on the grid here at Sparta, Kentucky, and we're ready to go racing. Tonight, it's the ARCA Racing Series, part of General Tire's Super Weekend at Kentucky. Thanks for joining us tonight on Friday night. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado. So nice to have you with us here. You know, it's been a beautiful day here in Kentucky, and we're ready to go racing. But when we look at this grid today in practice, 15 drivers separated by less than 1 second, Jim. I'm curious, who do you have our eye on tonight?
You know, there's some points chasers and also some really fast cars that don't race every ARCA Racing Series event. 3 guys I have my eye on going for a victory, here for the trophy only. I start with Brandon Jones, the number 8 machine. He actually won at Michigan in the ARCA Racing Series, and he's the only driver in the field that's had race experience on this new pavement at Kentucky. And I also want to keep an eye on his teammate, the number 28 of Matt Tifft. Back in the ARCA Racing Series since June in Michigan. He was the fastest car here in the open test on Tuesday. Tifft will be fast. I also think the number 99 of Austin Cindric. Where has he not been the quickest car at certain points on the weekend? He's had a handful of starts here. He could have won last weekend as recently as Chicagoland on the 1.5 miles.
Well, you mentioned Brandon Jones and about the repave. That happened before we had a triple header here back in July. He's got some experience, but here's the problem. He's going to start deep in the field.
12th on the grid, and I think that's going to be a challenge for him. There's also a challenge for some of the teams since Tuesday. That open test gave them track time here at a new pavement, but 5 different teams also brushed the wall, some harder than others.
And one of those was Chase Briscoe in car number 77. We'll have more on that story coming up here shortly. He is our championship point leader, and they have had an incredible season as he won the Bill France 4 Crown, and he also won the ARCA Short Track Challenge presented by Protect Plus. There you see the beautiful cars. They're getting ready to go. And before we can start the engines, we need to go down trackside because it's time for our pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats as the North Bullitt County High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Pastor Larry Campbell of Kentucky Raceway Ministries offers our invocation.
Let's pray. Father, once again, we thank you for all your blessings. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful evening you've given to us. And Lord, we thank you for our country. And Father, we just pray now that you might just bless our country. Father, we just ask you might look down and heal us, Father. And Lord, we just pray you will go with all the service personnel, both at home and also around the world, fighting for our freedoms. Father, we thank you for this evening, and we just pray that we might have a great, safe race tonight. Be with the drivers, Lord, and everyone that's involved. And Lord, we thank you once again for all things. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Here tonight to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome professional truck driver and independent recording artist, Billy Lamb. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Let's hear it for Billy Lamb.
Outstanding rendition of our national anthem. Tonight it's the penultimate event of 2016. When we come back, we'll hear from our pole sitter and our General Tire driver profile. Well, what a year it's been for Chase Briscoe. Car 77 in the big-time Ford and his crew chief, Chad Bryant. They have had a dominating season. In our last race at Chicagoland Speedway, they were lightning fast. You see Briscoe firing it down into the center of the corner. One small mistake, though, as he went over the line coming in for a pit stop. Could that cost him the race? Well, no, he started deep but came right back through the field. As he goes around the 17 and the 05, he's on his way to victory. And Chase Briscoe picks up his 6th win of the season. He's had a lot of accolades this year, and earlier he had a chance to talk with our very own Heather DeBow.
It has already been a busy few days for Chase Briscoe and his team at Cunningham Motorsports. Chase, the last few days you guys have had to prepare your car after hitting the wall in testing on Tuesday. Talk about what it's taken to get your car ready for tonight's race.
It's taken a lot of hard work and sweat, I can guarantee you that. It's, you know, we're all on about 12 to 14 hours of sleep for the past 3 days. Literally, Wednesday, probably 4 or 5 o'clock, this thing didn't even have a front end on it, and we've been working pretty much nonstop the last 28 hours. So it's really awesome to get the pole. Hopefully we can get a win. I know it'd be pretty awesome to reward them guys with that. But just can't thank Briggs and Carey enough for giving me the opportunity. Hopefully we can get big time another win. Hopefully we can lock up the championship tonight. That'd be pretty awesome.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
And, of course, he's talking about a practice crash that happened here on Tuesday afternoon, put the team way behind, but they've been ahead all season long in the points.
And when it comes to looking at these points, Briscoe is worried about one driver, Tom Hester. That's the only driver keeping him from his first ever championship in a stock car.
We've had 8 consecutive different champions. It's more than likely Briscoe will get the number 9, but guess what? In order to do that tonight, he's got to leave here with a 505-point advantage. We'll let you know how it goes throughout the course of the evening. You know, throughout the year, General Tire has had an opportunity to introduce you to some of the drivers in this series, and this one's a regular. He drives car number 6. We want you to meet Josh Williams.
Josh Williams from Port Charlotte, Florida, and driver of the number 6 Muswins Applesauce Chevrolet. Started racing when I was 4.5 years old. My dad raced before me, so it was kind of cool growing up watching him race and go to the track and stuff. Yeah, our team's just a small team, 4 guys full-time in the shop. You know, we don't have the fancy pull-downs and the new parts and things like that, the big haulers, but we make it fun. If we finish 2nd or 3rd or we lead some laps, that's cool for us. You know, we had a lot of top 5 finishes last year, and for us, that's a win in our book. Nashville was really good for us. We had a part failure there towards the end of the race, but we led a lot of laps. We were really fast. I think we lapped all the way up to 5th place or 6th place. I feel like that was a shot where we had to get our first win, but just, you know, luck wasn't on our side at the time. But all in all, make it to the end of the season, win a handful of short track races, try to win a couple intermediates, and hopefully hold up that big trophy at the end of the year.
And Jim, he's not going to hold up the big trophy, but he did accomplish his goal of winning a couple of short track races.
And he was up to 2nd in points, challenging for the point lead until just a few races ago, back to 4th in points for this driver. And if out of necessity, he knows more about his race car than any other driver in the field, guaranteed, because he's the mechanic, the crew chief, the driver, the thinker. He does a lot of the work on the car himself.
Had trouble at Michigan and at Pocono, and those 2 big track races really took Josh Williams out of the championship chase because of the consistency that 77 and Chase Briscoe has had throughout the year. Well, you see the cars are all lined up on the grid. We're getting ready to roll them off. And before we can do that, it's time to go down for our pre-race ceremonies.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here tonight to give the command, please welcome tonight's Grand Marshals from TNT Construction, Christy and Tina Higdon, Leanne Gill and Jackson Higdon.
On behalf of Crosley Motorsports, Crosley Brands, welcome to Kentucky Speedway. Drivers, start your engines!
Switch switches are flipped and the engines are fired. When we come back to the Kentucky Speedway, we'll get you ready to go for ARCA Racing tonight. It's race number 19 of 2016. Welcome back to Kentucky. The cars are rolling off the grid as we get ready to go ARCA Racing. Glad to have you with us. Tonight's event is brought to you by General Tire. It was an absolutely scorching day today. Imagine we're 2/3 of the way through September, and it was 92 in the afternoon with bright sunshine. Right now, 82. The forecast is for it to get down into the middle 70s before this race is over. So ever-changing track conditions for sure tonight. We had our Menards Pole Award presented by Ansel earlier today, and guess what? The big crash on Tuesday didn't hold these guys back.
They have no sleep, but they found speed. They had a practice session today, and when it came to single car qualifying, Briscoe put a P1 for the 6th time this year.
Great work by that team today as Chase Briscoe will lead the field to the green tonight as we get ready to go. You know, throughout the year, we've been keeping an eye on our Scott rookie, and tonight we want to put a little spotlight on number 32. It's Shane Lee. He's our Scott Rookie Challenge.
What I like about Shane Lee, he's with a team that has won here in the ARCA Racing Series. Kevin Swinski's the principal. This young man qualified on the pole 1 race ago at Chicagoland, the first time he's ever seen a 1.5 mile track. He then hit the wall with a flat tire. This is a different race car. He raced at Michigan. They came here again. He felt very comfortable in the car. Wouldn't you know, he qualified 2nd. So good job, Shane Lee, here on the 1.5 mile tracks at ARCA. Front row starts in both of them.
Best finish of 4th. That came at Pocono. You know, we'll have 4 different cars carrying onboard cameras for you tonight. We're getting that started. Jim, I want you to start with car number 6.
Well, when it comes to racing, Josh Williams knows how to squeeze every nickel and make it 6 cents worth. This young driver is calling the shots from his race car seat. His dad, Kevin, is in the pit area as well. We'll keep an eye on his General Tire onboard throughout the race.
Car number 2 is Sarah Cornett Ching. She drives the Dickies race car, and it qualified 15th tonight. If you look up at the top of the screen, you'll see our General Tire starting grid, and you can see where your favorite driver started.
Matt Kurziewski's in the Ansel Menards on board. This is a brand new Toyota for the Schrader Racing team. Matt's going through a couple bugs. They had some transmission issues in the rear end on Tuesday and again today. Limited time for these guys.
Also want to watch car number 98, the Gree sponsorship. He qualified 9th tonight, and that is Gus Dean. He picked up a win at Talladega earlier this year. So we have 4 drivers that'll be bringing you great shots of the racing tonight. Well, we heard from Heather DeBoe just a little bit ago with Chase Briscoe. We have another pit reporter with us tonight. It's Alex Hayden. Alex, what are you watching tonight?
Well, Ray, the big thing I'm going to watch tonight is the strategy that unfolds down here on pit road. 60 to 65 laps is what they can go on a full tank of fuel. With a 100-lap race, that means they theoretically could do this race in just 1 pit stop. However, if there's a caution somewhere around lap 30 to 35, I fully expect everybody to come to pit road. They have 2 sets of General Tires down here at their disposal for tonight's race. Heather?
Well, Alex, making his debut for Rainier Racing with MDM is the 28 of Matt Tifft. This is his first ARCA race since he had brain surgery back in July to remove a brain tumor. He did race in the Camping World Truck Series race at Chicagoland, where he finished 12th. And when I spoke to Matt today, he says it feels so great to be back in the race car, especially since he wasn't sure if he'd be making a return. He is pulling double duty this weekend and also racing in that number 18 Xfinity car for Joe Gibbs Racing. And being that we're here in Kentucky, he said that he feels he has the horse to win tonight's race.
Great pun there, Heather. What a great story it is that Matt Tifft is racing with us tonight. So glad to have him here. We want to take a look at our track description tonight. Jim, this is a 1.5 mile track here, but they've made a lot of changes to it since the repave.
Reshaped turn number 2. They got rid of the bumps that plagued this racetrack since it really was open. A lot of the teams having to alter their setups to get over what was a rough racetrack. In turns 3 and 4, there was a big bump. That's now nice and smooth. Talking to the drivers, because this track is so fresh, the speeds going into turn number 3 will be scary, hairy, fast. And these drivers know that that's where they have to be right to come off of turn 4 and carry the momentum all the way around this 1.5 miles.
We have watched throughout the year every short track that we've gone to this year. It's been pit strategy. When do you pit? When do you put on your tires? As Alex was saying tonight, it certainly may be a one-stop race. These General Tires are certainly very, very hard, and we see a bit of a problem already as we get ready to go with car number 5. That is Chris Bailey Jr.
Chris Bailey Jr. making a start in the DK Lock Ford for Tommy Prater, along with the Gerhardt Racing team, put the 5 on the door. Unfortunately for that team, trouble for this young driver.
Looks like they've got a problem. We'll have, obviously, the ARCA racing officials will watching that car as it is lined up on the back of the grid before we get ready to go racing.
What I like to see is Chase Briscoe's choice of racing line here, Ray. He is starting on the outside. We talk about new pavement. Generally, it's a single file racetrack. Well, we found back in July when the NASCAR 3 divisions came here, we saw some good side-by-side racing. That entry into turn number 3, because it's so fast, probably proved the difference in why Briscoe is on the outside versus the inside, carrying that momentum through that final corner onto the front stretch.
Shane Lee down to the inside. We see Austin Cindric in car number 99. He'll be on the inside of row number 2. The 55 of Dalton Sargent to the high side. That's a Venerini Motorsports car. And right behind them, you see that number 15. How about Zane Smith? He's the youngest driver in our field at the age of 17. And right down on the inside of row number 3, that's car number 23. And what a year it's been for Brett Holmes. He has had a couple of really great runs, and they've got a brand new car ready to go. So the field is 2 by 2 as they come out to turn number 4. The flagmen keeping an eye on them. They're ready to go. And as they get to the restart zone, here we go. Green flag is coming out here at the Kentucky Speedway. It's all call number 15, Zane Smith, go from the high side down to the bottom. Looks like he has a real good angle there. Down to the bottom is also that number 99, way out in the outside of the far groove. That's the 23. Boy, Brett Holmes, hold on. Not many cars have been up there yet today.
He got a little too high, a little too eager, a little too aggressive. He goes around the 23 of Brett Holmes.
That is uncharted territory on the high side of the groove here at the Kentucky Speedway. And Holmes with a brand new Southern States Bank race car, and he's got damage to the rear bumper.
Crew chief is Grant Enfinger, last year's driving champion. This team again put together a brand new race car. Brett had all sorts of confidence, but this high on this green racetrack, not going to work out so well as he came through the corner and simply lost grip here, Ray.
Kyle Weatherman right in the middle of the racetrack. Holmes did a nice job on the early driving of that thing, but when you're up that high on the track, just no grip up there, and looks like Matt Kurziewski slowed down, went around to the high side of him, but that's going to put us under caution for the very first time. We were on the first lap of the race, and 23 spins it. We'll be back with more ARCA racing right here in just a moment. Car number 32, Shane Lee, is our leader here as we've only completed a couple of laps at the Kentucky Speedway. Glad to have you with us as we are ARCA racing under the lights here on a Friday night. You know, we talked about all of the awards that the 77 has gotten so far. They're trying to lock up a championship tonight, but there's another one in the balance, and that's our Super Speedway Challenge by General Tire.
And it's listed by team owner in the series. Briggs Cunningham with the number 77 team has the most points, but Billy Venturini with 5 different drivers in that number 55 machine. Dalton Sargent winning at Berlin Raceway and performing very well. Also, they have another victory, the Christopher Bell, I believe, in the 55 this year. They have a number of drivers. They compile points on car number. They're just 35. That's 7 positions on the racetrack, Ray. 5 points per position here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
Obviously a very prestigious award because it's given on all of the big tracks right now. Sargent running back in 5th place. Chase Briscoe in 2nd. So those cars are separated by just a few points now. We'll keep our eye on that. But, Jim, I have a feeling that award's not going to be given out till we see the checkered flag at Kansas.
And, you know, it's great to see that parity here. There's so much work on the ARCA Elmore 396 engine to bring the cost down. These teams have found a way to be fast, and we found that season long, race in, race out, they are eyeballing each other, but the speeds have been there. When we find interlopers coming in like we do again tonight, the regulars are nowhere to be found except at the front of the field. It's been a great season, a dream season for some of these drivers. Look at this young Indiana sprint car racer, Chase Briscoe.
You mentioned that ARCA Elmore 396. The engine that's inside of Chase Briscoe's car tonight is number 93. They used that one to win in our last race at Chicago. And you said about the 55, Dalton Sargent won at Berlin with this exact same engine, which is number 27. So these guys are able to use these engines on all kinds of different racetracks, and that's what makes it so affordable for the team. So one caution right away as Brett Holmes spun. We saw him get some service in the pits, and we're ready to go back to racing as 5 laps have been completed tonight. Down to the inside, Shane Lee in car number 32. He gets a really good jump on the 77, and Lee will be our leader at the line.
Shane Lee does not have the experience that these other teams do. Myatt Snyder, look at that number 22, original Louisiana Hot Sauce, number 22 machine making away early here.
Boy, he got a really nice start, went down right on the spots away as Myatt Snyder is going to go by a couple of cars, and he's fighting side by side with Dalton Sargent as they enter turn number 3.
That is a hotly contested area. We see that the cars coming through turn 3 are still too wide. They're still trying to figure things out here. There's also been a mixture of tire compounds. The General tires on these cars is different than what the NASCAR Xfinity Series was just on the racetrack practicing with. Sorting that through and getting that rubber burned off.
All the drivers tell us it takes 5 to 7 to 10 laps before you know exactly what your grip level is going to be with the tire once we get back to racing conditions.
And General Tire's done a really good job. The teams found out on Tuesday on this pavement they don't want to run sticker tires. They scuffed their tires in, and I asked some of the crew chiefs, how many laps did you scuff your tires that are going to use in the race tonight? He said sometimes 5, sometimes 7 laps. On other racetracks that have worn pavement, you might find 1 or 2 laps if they want to get a heat cycle in those tires and stack them away for the race.
With this brand new racing surface here, first time the ARCA cars have been here, they learned a lot when they had the testing session here on Tuesday, and the one thing they really learned was that this is a hard tire and you're able to really abuse it. Drive it hard right down into the center of the corner.
Josh Williams, that Musselman Applesauce Chevrolet, was here but did not participate. I believe it's a budgetary thing. That's how thin Josh Williams is playing this season. It's good to see him in the General Tire spotlight tonight, getting some attention for this team.
2 wins this season. Picked up his first one in race number 2 of the year at Nashville, and also one at Madison. Williams right now in the Musselman's Applesauce, number 6, back in 11th position.
That qualifying effort back in 18th, not a true tell of what he has. Speaking of that, the number 05 Jive Chevrolet on the inside, that's John West Townley. He started in the back because they changed the transmission. It kept popping out of gear in qualifying earlier today in the afternoon.
See Tom Hessert right there in car number 25. He is behind John West. He's taking a look at these guys, and we're on board our General Tire on board with the number 6 of Josh Williams, and you see John West Townley able to go by there in that Drive Communications Chevrolet. He'll take that spot away.
Back there in 11th, 12th, somewhere in there, and these guys are losing time to the leaders. They're thinning out quickly here. The pressure's on already in this 100-lap race to get position and get some speed going and draft on these straightaways.
Now we've moved up to the battle for 5th position. That is Kyle Weatherman in car number 10. That is the St. Charles Glass and Crosley number 10, and right behind him is that 55 of Dalton Sargent with TRD on the hood. These guys got a nice battle going on. Again, that is a challenge for 5th place.
Weatherman was fighting a tight condition entering the corner today. He also battled back after being one of the cars that scraped the wall on Tuesday. Looked to be superficial, but a little more to it as I walked up to that number 10 machine. That team has worked really hard to get this race car balanced, and Kyle Weatherman at the tender age of 19 has been making a lot of calls on what to change on that race car in that number 10 machine currently in 5th.
A lap and a half ago, Jim, these 2 guys battling for 5th were racing with Myatt Snyder. There they go by right out of the shot, and there goes the 28. That is Matt Tift. So where did Myatt Snyder go? He was right in that battle, and all of a sudden he's not on our screen.
He had rear-end gear issues last race at Chicagoland that hampered his efforts, did Myatt Snyder, in this car for 9 events, and he's on pit road, Ray.
Oh, so that answers our question, and guess what? The 22 Louisiana Hot Sauce Ford is going behind the wall.
Paul Andrews, the crew chief on that number 22 machine. That car has been strong all season long. Snyder won in his very first race this season. We talk about owners' points in the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge. Overall, this team has compiled the 4th most points all year with 10 different drivers.
At a 3rd at Lucas Oil Raceway, and as you said, won in his first career start. But they had trouble in the last big race, did Myatt Snyder, when he was driving for those guys. They finished 25th at Chicagoland, and again, behind the wall. It's a tough break for that team. Heather, you have any idea what's going on with Myatt?
Myatt just came over the radio and said it really won't go on its own. He said there might be something with the transmission. They were just asking him if he has 3rd gear. So I'll try to find out exactly what's happening with that 22 for you guys.
It was interesting. Those 3 guys were in a battle for 5th, and all of a sudden I saw the 22 disappear. So that is certainly something we'll follow up on and find out. Now here we are back at the front of the field. That is the 32 of Shane Lee.
You know, part of it we did not address yet, Ray, is the sheer speed this track is providing with this brand new pavement for these teams. 7 drivers in qualifying under the track record. This is a harder tire that General Tire has brought here than they've ever used at this racetrack. So getting a handle on these tires, when do they come in? Right about lap 10, lap 12. So as the maximum adhesion starts to come in, that means a lot of equipment's getting stressed. There's a lot of pull on these cars. These teams and these composite bodies are still figuring out the aerodynamic advantages and disadvantages of these 12-piece panel flange fit bodies. This track, again, will prove that high speed will pay a difference if they figured it out right, where indeed they want all that side force on these body panels. They're still figuring out, but the 77 there at Briscoe, that kid's just magic no matter where he goes. Chad Bryant's got a car that this kid can drive anywhere.
I have to ask you this, though. They were 7th in practice earlier today, and I walked by Chase. I said, how are you? He said, I think we're about a 7th place car. I think he might have been pulling the wool over my eyes.
Well, he also only had 27 laps of practice today and 0 laps on Tuesday. They went home. They crashed at 11. They were in the hauler at 11:30 in the morning and heading back to Charlotte.
He said they had about a total of 12 hours sleep. When I looked at Chad Bryant today, I'm not sure he had 12 the whole week, but nevertheless, a yeoman's effort. I asked him, why not bring another car? He said, because this is the one we feel we can win with. So they took it home and repaired it. A lot of great effort from Team 77.
And that team only has 9 employees total. There's one that stays back at the shop. The other ones are on the road with 2 race teams.
25 of Hessert going around Josh Williams. That is 12th position. Tom Hessert has had a great second half to the season as we've kept an eye on what he's been doing. They finished 10th at Chicagoland, but prior to that, a 6th, a 1st, and a 2nd. So that team really on a nice roll right now. Hessert moves up to 12th spot tonight.
Those 7 top 10s in a row coming into tonight, Ray, have moved this team into 2nd in the point standings ahead of the number 6 that we're riding on with, who's Josh Williams.
Seen a lot of smiles from that group down there since Dave Leinert took over the crew chiefing duties. And talked to Tom Hessert today. He said this tire is certainly something they've got to learn a little bit more about.
This handprint on the dashboard's there on purpose. Josh Williams, as we're riding along with here, does what he calls his hospital tour. He's visited over 60 children in children's hospitals as part of what he does. Wears his racing uniform, goes in, cheers the kids up, and as he is there, he brings in paper plates and hand paint, and each child that he visits gets to put their handprint on a paper plate that he's transferred over to on his race car and inside his race car as a tribute to them, and hopefully they can cheer him on and have a good day as well.
That's a great story. You know, at the top of the show, we were talking about Brandon Jones and his experience at this racetrack. Well, right now on the scoring monitor, he's 25th and in the garage, Alex.
Ray, they're chasing a gremlin. They thought initially it was an engine. He radioed in to Mike Hillman Jr., his crew chief, and the rest of the team said, I think I've got an engine going away on me. So they turned it off, pulled behind the wall. They checked under the hood. Engine seems to be okay. Now they're chasing an electrical issue, working at the ignition boxes right now on the dashboard inside the cockpit of the race car.
Thank you, Alex. Chase Briscoe goes to the high side in his big-time Ford, and look at this. Down to the bottom goes Austin Cindric, and he is going to challenge him as they roll through the center of the corner. Side by side these go, and they're trying to get 2nd place.
These 2 drivers are teammates, and last race at Chicagoland, Chase went on to win the race with a setup that the number 99 team of the young Austin Cindric, they adopted before the race because the 77 was so dialed in. It's great to see them actually getting a race side by side here.
Nice action here as down to the bottom goes Cindric and his PureTech Ford. These guys having a lot of fun as they roll through turns 1 and 2 right now. We've got 22 laps of 100 completed here. You're watching the ARCA General Tire 100. Glad to have you with us tonight. Friday night under the lights right here at the Kentucky Speedway.
Man, first day on the job.
I got $1 out of it.
Oh, more than that. Yeah, there you go. That's what I got. Yeah. It's a good one. What is a good one?
See what else happens at teamgtfishing.com.
Back at the Kentucky Speedway, we have 25 laps complete here of our 100-lapper this evening, and we have had a major incident going down the back straightaway. Sarah Cornett Ching and her Dickies car number 2 has made significant contact with the inside safer barrier.
She was running in the 16th position, Ray, when that incident did happen. Good to see Sarah moving around in the cockpit, and it's a rough break. Last race, early on, she got an incident as well, so Kentucky is indeed not the track that she'll put on her list as favorites.
Hashtag ride with Sarah up there on the roll bar. I'm glad we're not riding with her. We'll get you some replays of what happened on the track shortly, but right now we have pit stop starting. Shane Lee is the leader, and right behind him, the number 99 of Austin Cindric. Let's start it off with Heather DeBow.
So far, Shane Lee has said the car has been pretty good this race, but they just told him just try not to put yourself in a bad spot like that and go 3 wide. So right now they're going to do tires and fuel and send him on his way. As far as Austin Cindric goes, no changes there. They're very happy with that car. So just tires and fuel, and he'll be on his way as well. Alex?
Oh, here is the pole sitter, championship point leader, Chase Briscoe. They're going to definitely change right side tires. The car's been a little loose. They see they're going to make an adjustment to the back, a wedge adjustment, 2 rounds, a big adjustment. 4 tires for Chase Briscoe to get him back on the racetrack.
Well, we see Briscoe still sitting there as they go with 4 tires. It looks like Austin Cindric will be second off of pit road. Then the 77 is going to have a nice battle there, but it looks like the first car that came off was at the 28.
We'll see as they refresh here, and it's great to see Sarah Cornett-Ching walking away, the Summerlin, British Columbia driver. 26 years of age, finished 7th here in the points last year, running all the races, and this is where her ride was, as leader Shane Lee was right next to her.
Yeah, and he got into the quarter panel, and as she brushed that outside wall, it was the big hit that happened down on the inside safer barrier that caused all of that damage to the front end of her Dickey's Toyota. And that car, Jim, is absolutely junk in every part. Shane Lee to the outside, just the slightest amount of contact, got her sideways, and watch this inside hit.
That track gets so narrow off of turn number 2. That had been a problem spot with the old pavement, and here again, let's take it right on board with Sarah. Going around another car a bit slower, trying to stay in her racing mode, and in the lead lap, and that's Swallow Took right there. 1 touch for the left front fender of our race leader, Shane Lee, on the outside.
Man, that was absolutely a wallop to the inside wall. She's had, this is her 8th start tonight, 1 top 10, but that car is going to be headed to the junk pile. Sarah Cornett-Ching brings out our 2nd caution right here at Kentucky Speedway. More right after these messages. World Truck Series started back in 1995, but for the first time ever, they've got a chase, and it all begins tomorrow at New Hampshire. You can watch it at 12:30 Eastern, starting over on FS1, and a bunch of drivers licking their chops for a shot at winning the first ever chase in the Camping World Trucks. You can also watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Well, so far our in-car cameras are having a bit of a problem. We saw Sarah Cornett-Ching with a big crash, and also the number 98 Gree Cooling Products car is in the garage. For more on that, let's go to Heather.
That's right, Myatt Snyder here in the 22. He came into the garage and said he just had no drive. So the team right now, they changed the rear end. So right now they're working on putting the new one in. They thought it might have been broken, but it looked okay. So we'll see if this rear end can get back out there and get him going better.
Well, thank you, Heather. Let's go back down and check in with Alex, please.
Well, Ray's pit strategy came into play here on this first round of stops for the leaders, and that came in the form of Matt Tiff. Fuel only was the call here from that wily crew chief, Marty Lindley. Fuel only got him out and got the track position, so that maintains 2 sets of new tires down here in their pit box.
All right, so Jim, let me ask you, is this a deal where he's saying I want to save tires, or is he saying I don't need any tires for the whole race?
The crew chief for the first time working with his young driver, Marty Lindley. Marty's been paired up this entire season in ARCA and in the Canada East Series with Kyle Benjamin. So he's trying to feel things out, what Matt Tiff wants in that race car. What they found is on Tuesday's test, they went 60 laps on the same set of tires. So they think their setup is not going to punish these general tires. They may indeed go a long ways, maybe pit later on, 40 laps to go, 25 laps to go. Then they put their 4 tires on. They think they've got great tire wear. That's what helped make that call to stay out with just that fuel and no tire changes.
The 10 of Kyle Weatherman sitting on pit road. You see they've got that race car jacked up and doing some work down under the front. So keep an eye on that.
He came in the pits 7th, went out 8th, and now came back down pit road. That car had damage from Tuesday, but they're looking at the left side this time, Ray. That was right side brushing.
So our caution came out, and they headed down pit road on lap 25. A little fuel strategy. We'll see how it plays out when we come back to the Kentucky Speedway. What a season it's been for the ARCA Racing Series. JWT in victory lane at Daytona, and that first big career win for Josh Williams at Nashville.
Christopher Bell showed up. He wanted to get some more seat time at Salem. Showed up and won in his first start. Gostine, a surprise winner at Talladega.
First career start for Myatt Snyder in victory lane, and then it was Cunningham back-to-back as they won at New Jersey. Grant Enfinger goes to victory lane in Pocono.
Brandon Jones in the Michigan victory lane with a very strong race car. Madison, Josh Williams, school him again on tire wear.
And here's where it starts for the 77 team. It's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 in a row for Chase Briscoe. It ends up at Pocono before the series gets breaking between Dalton Sargent.
Dalton had a great run at Berlin Raceway. And Justin Haley, first time on the dirt, the kid pulled off the win.
Tom Hessert in victory lane. Bell repeats when we go to Salem. And our last win was, of course, the 77 team picking up their 5th win of the season. So we know that the 10 was on pit road a couple of times. To get more on what Weatherman's trying to accomplish, let's go back down to Heather.
Well, Ray, underneath that caution, Kyle Weatherman was complaining and just saying there is something wrong with this car. When I come down, please check the tires or something's got to be broken. So they check the tires, they check the track bar, it all looked good. But as you can see, he's coming down pit road again because he's saying there's something broke in the rear end. Something's dragging. So they're going to check it out and hopefully try to figure out what is going on with that 10 machine.
Well, there's a bit of a hose hanging down on the left front, I noticed when they came in, but that shouldn't be enough to cause the driver any consternation.
Looking
but we'll
at the rear drive plates have been the issue. I'm sorry, Ray.
Tires off and take a look at that.
Rear drive plate issues have plagued these teams on the super speedways. At Chicago, we saw a couple of teams. Matt Kurzieski, one of them. The 22 of Myatt Snyder again. There's a lot of stress and strain on these race cars. We mentioned this car did get in the wall on Tuesday. That may have compounded unnoticed for this small team that Kyle Weatherman's using Andy Hillenberg shop for, and Greg Perkey is also working on that car as well. A lot of guys putting a lot of hours in on that one.
These guys are 15th right now, the last car on the lead lap, and they're going to get off pit road maybe in time, but the field is lined up, and they come out at turn number 4. Back to green is Matt Tifft as our leader in car 28.
That just sounds good saying it and hearing it. Matt Tifft back behind the wheel. Again, he had a top 5 run speed-wise last week in his return to racing after being cleared from that benign brain tumor, removed it back in early July. Great to see him back behind the wheel here in the ARCA Racing Series. He's got a lot more racing ahead, a full truck schedule ahead for the remainder of his season.
But he was not able to hold the lead as 2 cars are going to go by him as they roll through 3 and 4. Tifft will go from 1st back to 3rd in the blink of an eye. 99 and 77 on their way to the front.
Austin Cindric, 1 race ago, had a very fast race car and stayed out for a green flag stop 2/3 of the way through that 100-lap, 150-miler. That green flag stop pinned him down a lap, but what Chase Briscoe noticed in going on to victory, how fast the number 99 team was on fresh General tires. Those 2 drivers have very similar setups again here today, and they are showing they are fast here at the point.
Kyle Weatherman went down a lap. You saw him coming off of pit road as the field went by. As we go back to the front, you see Austin Cindric in car number 99, now with about a car length and a half lead over his teammate Chase Briscoe.
Caught a whisper of Cody Rohrbaugh, the black number 7 machine. He actually pitted and maintained top 10 position, but he now is off the pace in his first drive here in the ARCA Racing Series.
There's a look at that 15 we talked about. Zane Smith being the youngest driver in our field. He's trying to work over John West Townley. Those cars had good qualifying efforts, and both of them running in the top 5 tonight here at Kentucky.
And sometimes, Ray, you just don't know any better. Zane Smith paired up with Venturini Motorsports. They had to get a race in before they could test here to get approval. This young 17-year-old actually was under the track record on Tuesday already. This kid took this place like a duck to water.
Been very, very good in the late models as Zane Smith, and there you see the 32 running back there. He is now in 6th position. That is Shane Lee. We're talking about when they came into the pits, Jim, there was a bit of a shuffle. A couple of guys won and a few lost whenever we had our pit stop.
Shane Lee came in as the leader and went back out 8th. This Wintron Racing team getting back in the swing of things. They've not been full-time this series in 3 seasons, but Kevin Swinski's got a very fast number 32 Toyota underneath this young race driver out of North Carolina.
So Lee was the big loser. Also, the 77 lost a couple of spots, but now we are under our 3rd caution. We have some debris on the racetrack, so that will put us under yellow once again, and there's a little bit of a quarter panel from the inside, and that is going to put us under yellow for the 3rd time.
Gives these teams a chance to think about what they just did. They just had another short run here under green flag conditions.
He's saying that our leader may have run over this debris, Jim. We'll take a look at that. Or
yep, there he goes. Austin Cindric tapped it up from where it was laying on the racetrack. He drove over it. The sparking may be just some bottoming out in the corner, but it could be a bigger issue for our race leader. That's a big enough chunk there, Ray, that there could be concern in that 99 pit.
What a hard hit it was that brought us out into our 2nd caution today. That was lap number 25. It was Sarah Cornett Ching, and I believe Heather is caught up with her.
That's right. Sarah Corning-Ching just got released from the Infield Care Center. First of all, Sarah, you took a very hard lick there. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Banged up a bit. I mean, that was a hard hit. That's one of the harder ones I've had. So it's kind of frustrating, you know. We were just kind of getting into it, and those slow cars on the bottom, it's a one-lane racetrack. And I feel like I give them lots of room, and we just got hooked. I mean, there's not much else you can say. Somebody made a mistake, and it was us in the wall again. So it's pretty frustrating. I want to thank Dickies. They do so much for us. The Tim Hortons Children's Foundation. Daniel Asher's on the car this week. So many people that make this happen, and then you just get wrecked like that. It's pretty frustrating.
Well, thanks for your time, Sarah, and glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Really, really hard hit for our Canadian driver. So nice to see her out of the Infield Care Center and doing well. I'm sure she's going to be a bit sore after that big crash tonight here at the Kentucky Speedway. Few cars coming down pit road right now as we're under caution for the third time at Kentucky. Back with more of the ARCA Racing Series coming your way right here on FS2. Well, September's almost over, and that means October is on its way, and that means the MLB postseason is right around the corner, and we've got the National League Division Series starting right here on Fox, October 7th. So nice to have baseball on FS1. Can't wait. We know the Cubs are a lock, but still a big decision to be made on who's going to be in for that wild card in the National League. It all starts October 7th on FS1. Well, John West Townley drives the 05, and that is the Jive Communications race car. It's in 4th place right now, and we want to hear from his crew chief, Kevin Reed, down in the pits.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic charge in the early going, Kevin. So how is the race car? And obviously with the transmission change, how's the transmission?
Everything's fine. John West is doing a heck of a job. We started last there because of the transmission failure during qualifying there. We've had a really good car today. Had a little bit of a rough week with the crash early on in the week in the test, but these Jive guys have dug in hard and got us a pretty solid race car here tonight. John West is doing an amazing job.
Kevin Reed and the rest of this team very pleased in the first half of this going.
Got to be happy. Up 25 spots, Alex. Great interview there. And we know, of course, John West started the season off with a big win at Daytona, and they're coming off a second-place run at Chicagoland. So a little momentum always feels good, and he is on the move from the back, up 25 spots.
Nobody works harder in the garage than Kevin Reed, and in the shop, he is very proud of the equipment, but they build brand-new race cars from the ground up. John West Townley able to ride with confidence here. That's a gutsy call on a single-day show like today to make that transition change and come back through like they have. Kudos to that team.
Also had a second-place run at Pocono. We'll see if JWT can get it back in victory lane. Just 2 races remaining tonight here at Kentucky Speedway, and then we'll close out the championship chase at Kansas Speedway coming up in October. So the season winding down for the ARCA Racing Series. We talked about the fact that we've had 18 different winners here at the Kentucky Speedway, and obviously none of them are in the field tonight, so we'll have a first-time winner at Kentucky, but will it be a first-time winner in the series? We'll find out together. Chase Briscoe says, I want to make sure that doesn't happen. He wants to keep that on a roll for Team 77. He's on the outside of row number 1. His teammate Austin Cindric down to the inside, and we've got 42 laps complete as we go back to green flag racing here at Kentucky.
Took them all race to get back on the lead lap after a green flag stop with 35 laps left in a race 1 week ago. But Austin Cindric has now found his way to the front with that PureTech Ford. He had to pit under green. Strategies changed here. He pitted with everybody else on a normal cycle, about lap 35 or so. Now going at it on the inside. He also elected to start on the inside. This track may be a bit narrower than these teams anticipated.
We saw a problem for Matt Kurzieski as he did not get going into turn 1 and 2. Got sideways a little bit, lost some spots. But check out this battle up at the front. 77 to the high side, fighting with his teammate John West Townley right there. And do not count out Matt Tift. He's got a good view of it happening.
Briscoe up in the loose stuff. He better get out of the gas or he's going to find something else to fix.
Yeah, boy, he had to come out of that one, and that's going to drop the 77 out of contention for the front. And John West Townley by the bottom. He's going around the 99. We have a new leader tonight.
Last to first, John West Townley here at Kentucky Speedway. This new pavement is not stopping the move forward by JWT. Again, he may race the truck race tomorrow. Loudon, we don't know, but we know he's focused here tonight. getting this Chevrolet around this racetrack. And look at how strong he is. He's already pulled away by 2 car lengths from the 2 fastest cars we've seen here all weekend.
Jim, I want to mention again, I know we've had a number of caution laps here, but all of these guys came to pit road on lap 26 to get their fuel, and I'm just wondering whether or not we're not going to be pushing it awful close to the end of the race if any of these would decide to stay on the track and not go back to the pits. Now, I mentioned Krzyzewski. You see that? Menards and Ansel sponsored 52 down to the inside. He makes a little bit of contact with Shane Lee, and he gets sideways. And boy, everybody behind him did a fantastic job, including Zane Smith. Here we go on board, on our Ansel on board, driver 52.
Matt lost some track time because they're fixing the rear end here today and on Tuesday. He was trying to get to the inside line, so was Shane Lee. Look at that yellow line. That's the apron and the racetrack. They're different banking altogether. It's flat on the apron. Krzyzewski did a nice job saving that car from getting any damage or spinning out. Nice job, Matt.
And everybody behind him doing very well. Did you hear those tires squeal when he went sideways? Wow.
Fight for position here on restarts. It's been great 2- and 3-wide racing, and then you see a lot of this, a lot of speed come out of these cars, and this is the battle we've been following all race long. The number 77 of Chase Briscoe had been up amongst the leaders, but he had to get out of the gas with that out of the groove run, and it took this long to get that car back up to song. Once you get out of the groove here, Ray, it's some price to pay. Good thing that kid found the pavement and not the wall.
On the very first lap, we saw Brett Holmes in car number 23 make contact with the wall, and guess what? He is working his way back through the field. We've got a nice little battle here as Holmes and Josh Williams and Weatherman all in position there for 11th, 12th, and 13th. Krzyzewski right ahead of them, and that car is in 10th place.
And these 2 cars, the blue one in the middle of the screen and the one behind it, the orange number 6, those 2 cars also pitted under the most recent caution. We see tape now on the electric quarter panel of that number 23 machine of Brett Holmes, so there's some damage they've repaired. Now battling with Matt Krzyzewski here, and the 6 also pitted under the most recent caution for fuel only.
But with those guys coming down for fuel, they have eliminated the question of what would happen if this thing goes green. They're good to go to the distance.
And Brett Holmes did change 4 tires, as did the number 66 machine of Mark Thompson. So we see how good those 4 tires are, but it's only 4, 5, or 6 laps into the run do we finally see the full grip effect. And we mentioned the 6 of Williams, gas only, so there may be a gap developing there.
And in order for those guys' strategy to really play out, this thing's got to go green and not give an opportunity for our front runners to come back down pit road. Now look at this. Here comes the 99. Cindric taking a look to John West Townley. He's going to dive to the bottom as they roll into turn number 3. Can he hold that position? Looks like the momentum might be good for JWT up high. They're side by side out of 4.
This is not easy. Again, Austin Cindric has done a lot of racing in a lot of different forms, but that speed carrying into the corner number 3 here is unlike anything he's experienced. Holding the line, great job by these leaders, giving each other room. Now they're in lap traffic. This could change everything.
Cindric has led 12 laps. Matt Tifft out front for 7. We saw Shane Lee in the early running go 24 circuits around here. We've also had Townley and Briscoe as leaders. So 5 different drivers at the front of the field so far, and we just went by the halfway point.
And look at this. Kyle Weatherman was one of those guards we talked about that pitted under the most recent caution, having those rear end issues, fighting through it. And Krzyzewski, again, we talked about he had transmission issues both today and rear end issues on Tuesday. It's a brand new race car they put together in Ken Schrader Racing. Never been on the track. It's never been fully finished as a chassis. So good to see that they've got those issues behind them. And Krzyzewski's still trying to figure out how that happened, where he was able to save it on that restart. May have some damage, though, as he did brush the apron.
Battle for second, and here goes Matt Tifft down to the inside. He's got surface sunscreen on the side of that race car, and he's going to go by Townley and take over second.
Matt Tifft again overcoming what was a minor back surgery procedure, and they found a small tumor in his right temple. They removed it, benign tumor. He got the clearance to go racing last weekend. He'll be racing in 4 Xfinity Series races yet this year for Joe Gibbs Racing, including tomorrow night. So this is big for Matt Tifft to get comfortable here. No issues with that young man behind the wheel of that number 28 machine.
The sponsor on the hood of that, Jim, is called Brain Gear, and it says it helps you think a little bit more clearly. I think I better call Matt and see if he can get me some of that.
Well, you know what it is. That is actually a sponsor that team found, Matt Tifft found, before he was diagnosed with his brain injury. So even more important, their Brain Gear slogan for that liquid is focus, clarity, and memory.
I might need a case.
Yeah, come on now.
Good battle here as Tiff has moved up on Cindric. Again, this is the battle for the lead tonight. Early on, we saw Chase Briscoe right in the middle of this thing, but he got out of the groove, got up a little bit high, and now Briscoe is about 1.7 seconds behind the front runner, which is Austin Cindric.
We're looking at the two cars that were fastest on Tuesday. Morning session belonged to Austin Cindric, our race leader. Second quick and fastest overall at the end of the day was Matt Tiff, now running second.
For more on that Pure Tech Ford, let's go back down trackside and check in with Heather.
As I mentioned earlier, Austin Cindric has been very happy with his car so far. They just come over the radio to tell him, just get in your rhythm and drive away from these guys. Also, one point I want to make about the 99 of Austin Cindric is he is also practicing the 22 Penske Xfinity car for Ryan Blaney this weekend. So he's gotten a little bit extra seat time than some of the other drivers in the field tonight.
A second and a sixth so far this season for Austin Cindric. He's got it out front, but here's a nice battle right now as Brett Holmes and the 25. These guys are battling for 8th position, and A.J. Fike's right there in the middle of this too, as Fike will get passed by Brett Holmes, but all three of these guys going for a spot.
A.J. Fike restarted in the 10th position, has moved up into 9th, and it's a great battle here with Hessert, driver second in the standings now in that white number 25 Toyota for Venturini Motorsports.
Fike won a year ago on the dirt at Springfield. He's had an up-and-down season here, but now we see John West Townley and the number 77 of Chase Briscoe having a battle. That's for third.
Let's go back to that fuel stop. It was up 26, not 35, that I wrote down incorrectly. That's a long time to go on fuel. One thing I noticed is as the fast cars rise to the top in the racing, the number 05 of John West Townley cannot afford to burp that gas and roll in the corner. Briscoe's pushing the issue here, perhaps thinking he may have better mileage if this race goes green to the finish.
On the move is the 23 of Brett Holmes. He's up 4 positions since our last restart. So the number 23 flying up through the field, and we've got battles all over the racetrack tonight here at the Kentucky Speedway. The walls are green, and so's the racing. Hope you're having a good time with us on a Friday night. Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado. We'll be back with more in just a moment. On the next lap, we will have Austin Cindric moving into the position of being the driver who's led the most laps tonight. He'll complete 25 at the front of the field the next time he goes by the stripe.
And for Cindric, this is a new pavement for him, but not the first time he's been to Kentucky Speedway. He raced in 2 events last year in this series. He made his debut in Iowa, led 27 laps there. A year ago, he started 4th and led 27 laps in that race. So, again, this kid is fast everywhere, and he's proving with Penske and the Cunningham Motorsports teams working together to get that setup right. This kid can drive anything fast.
And speaking of Cunningham, here is Chase Briscoe. This is the battle for third. At the top of the show, we said Chase Briscoe needs to leave here with a 505-point lead. Well, guess what? In order to do that, all he has to do is finish 7th or better, no matter what 25 Tom Hessert does. Right now, these guys are battling for third, and as we talked about at the top of the show, Briscoe and his crew chief Chad Bryant took this race car back to Charlotte to fix it because they came here to win. But if he finishes 7th or better, he'll lock in the championship for 2016.
The Chase has his grandfather here, Richard, and his grandmother Charlotte. His dad Kevin's here. They're cheering him on from the stands. His mom Jamie's here. His girlfriend Jordan's here. His sister Abigail is here. He's putting pressure on himself, but he wants to prove to this team their hard work does pay, and he's not just going to ride behind that 05 machine. He wants another victory here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Got the pole tonight, brought to you by Menards and Ansel. So putting one more mark into the record book and hoping for a lock on the championship tonight. Here's that endurance race we were talking about for these guys. They came here on Tuesday. They crashed on the very first lap, loaded up, and headed back to Mooresville.
Then they went back to Kentucky. They actually loaded at 6 p.m. Thursday night, got here 3 this morning. The crew finally got done at 6 last night, and Briggs Cunningham was here. Great to see you, Briggs. He said, you know what, guys, we need to get you on an airplane. Get some rest. We'll get you to the racetrack in time. They had planned on coming up in a van, 6-7 hour drive.
Right. They knocked the whole front end off of that thing and did an awful lot of work. And again, they continue to run in 3rd place tonight. We see Brett Holmes right there in car number 23. You remember, right at the very beginning of our race tonight, he had a spin. It was on lap number 1 as he got a little bit sideways. Here's a look at the replay. Holmes going to the outside of car number 10 of Weatherman, and he gets sideways. Tried to save it. He almost did, but the yellow came out as he had a little bit of contact with the wall. And for more on the update of car number 23, back to Alex Hayden.
Oh, Ray, it was a gentle kiss, if you will, with the back of the car. The plus with that incident out there, it was two things. First of all, it was a flush hit with the back bumper cover of the car. It didn't damage the quarter panels, which hurts the aerodynamics. So the back of the car, as you see, heavily taped up, really not hurting the handling of the car. Here's the other, what could be blessing in disguise for Brett Holmes. He's raced his way back inside the top 10, currently running in the number 8 position. They last pitted to put more tape on the back of the car on lap 39. They can potentially go the distance on fuel.
That was going to be a great plan, Alex, but guess what? We're back under yellow as Mark Thompson has looped it in his Phoenix Air number 66. Had we stayed under green to finish this race, the front 7 cars were all in danger of maybe not making it, but just a little bit of damage there for Mark Thompson, and that is going to allow everybody to come to the pits if they want, and even this long possible yellow here could change that scenario.
And Thompson was just a lap down in the 14th position. He actually just pitted for 4 tires with the number 23 machine of Holmes on the most recent caution. Thompson, the 65-year-old who sat on the pole here in the ARCA Racing Series at Daytona just a couple seasons ago.
Well, we got a look at Mark Thompson there as he gets down off the racing surface, spins it around. No big damage to his Phoenix Air race car, but he will come to the pit area. Pits are closed right now. The red light is on, so there will be a penalty involved from coming down pit road here, but all of our other drivers and teams now have to make that decision. Are we getting tires? Are we getting fuel? Or are we staying out?
Ray, I think the catbird seat is the number 23 who came in, as Alex reported. They are good to go. They don't need to come back in. This is a close call. How many more laps of caution will we have? I say come. I say bring it now. Get those 4 tires, and we know the fast cars can make their way back through the field here with just 12 cars remaining now in the lead lap.
Krzyzewski going up to the high side. He is not in these front runners. The number 99 is our leader. Right behind him, Matt Tifft. And, of course, Chase Briscoe will roll up there in 3rd position in car number 77. Will they pit? It looks like the 28's coming that way, so let's check in down track side with Heather. Let's go to Alex instead of Heather, please.
Well, Matt Tifft, Ray, if you remember back on lap 26, they made the decision with Marty Lindley, the crew chief, to do fuel only. Well, I expect them to put on 4 fresh tires right now after what they saw. They had the lead for about 2 corners on that last restart. Here they are. They are going to, in fact, put on 4 tires. You see the right side's going on. If you look on the green wall, there's the next set of tires for the left side to go on. So Matt Tifft going to put on fresh tires while the leaders stay out.
And Alex, as we look up and down pit road, most of the teams coming down here are going with service of 4 tires. So it looked like 7 or 8 cars made it to the pit area, and that will be their decision here at lap 70 to go with tires. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously, Austin Cindric stayed out, and for more on that, let's go back to Heather.
Yes, guys, the leaders stayed out right there. They were communicating with the team between Austin and his crew chief, and he asked him, how does the car feel? And Austin said, so far, so good. They asked, is there any tire fall off? He said, not enough for us to fall all the way to the back. His crew chief told him they are good on fuel, so that's why they made a decision to stay out for the rest of the race.
All right, thank you, Heather. So a little bit of strategy here as the 99 liked their track position. 7 or 8 other guys said tires might make the difference. We'll find out how it plays out as we've got 30 laps to go tonight from the Kentucky Speedway. Chase Briscoe had 7 top 10s, but it was a wonder whether or not he was going to get to victory lane. And then guess what? He rolled off 4 of them in a row in the middle of the season, and he's our most recent winner as he picked up number 5 at Chicagoland in our most recent race. Can he get in contention tonight? Well, we'll see. Just 20 career starts, Jim. Very, very impressive, this young man.
Circle that 17 on the bottom of the screen, though. That's all but 1 race with a top 10 finish. That race he could have won at Salem and finished 16th.
Our top 2 cars, Cindric and Bristow, only pitted back on 26. They decided to stay out, and for more update on 77, let's go back to Alex.
Well, Ray, the decision for Chase Briscoe and his team, very simple. Their car is too good in clean air, so they wanted that track position. They thought if they came to pit road, there's an opportunity for a potential mistake and get mired back in traffic where the car gets very tight. So it was a good decision there. They also wanted to say, hey, you know what? As far as fuel, I think we're going to be okay. There's been been enough caution flag laps, they can stretch the fuel mileage to the finish.
I agree, Alex. I think if we stayed under green here, all of those guys that pitted on 26 were going to be very, very tight. But with this yellow flag, Jim, I think that takes it out. But the big question is, are our front two cars in okay position tire-wise and setup-wise, or do you think these guys who came in and made adjustments and added tires on lap 70 have an advantage?
Well, Cindric's been flat out fast, so why not stay out? He forced the issue for the other lead-out cars, I believe, to come to pit road to say, what can we do to make our car better, to try to get back up to challenge for the lead. We did have 3 cars stay out on that caution. They'll lead us back to the green flag. Number 23 of Brett Holmes, the 77 of Chase Briscoe, and our race leader, the 99 of Austin Cindric. So we'll see how they play out. I see the 23 out of frame now, but that team also stayed on the racetrack and tried to get things going here after they pitted back on lap 39.
I don't understand where Brett Holmes is and why he's lined up back. He's in about 7th or 8th position back there. Oh, they're bringing him up. Okay, so the ARCA officials have said, hey, car 23, you're in 3rd, so come on up here. So that'll put the 99 on the bottom of the front row. Then car 77 to the outside. We'll see Brett Holmes line up behind the number 99 if we can get this straightened out here, as we've got 27 laps to go.
If I'm Dalton Sargent, I'm saying, hey, he was not here for the restart. Why do I want to let him in now? I'm up to 3rd, baby. The 55 of Dalton Sargent, one of the cars that came down pit road. Alex Hayden did tell us the 05 of John West-Townley took just 2 tires on that pit stop. He'll start 4th.
Well, the lights are back on the pace truck here at Kentucky, as ARCA's going to try to get this sorted out. They'll tell them you've got to get back in line and do this correctly as we get ready to go back to green. But again, the yellow is back out.
And that's a way to challenge position, saying I need to roll up even with you. ARCA will tell us. There's a channel that ARCA is on with all the team radios. They actually require the spotters in the series to carry a frequency in their ear that is race control. So we'll get this squared away through the spotters relating to their teams.
And Jim, while they get this lined up, let's talk about a little college football action coming your way tomorrow afternoon. Boise State battles with Oregon State. That's at 3:30 Eastern. You can watch that on FS1. Then Oklahoma State goes in and takes on the number 16 Baylor Bears. 7 p.m. on Fox. It's college football coming your way. What a better way to spend your Saturday. ARCA officials have said this is our lineup, and now guess what? Brett Holmes has gone back. The discussion is that he was not in position, so they have moved that 23 back because he slowed going into turn 1. And so if you do not maintain your speed, they're going to put him back in that spot. So a big mistake for Brett Holmes, as he should have been 3rd on the restart, and now he's going to be back about, I don't know, looks like 12th.
Just his 6th start this season. Again, an Alabama short tracker racer, working with Grant Enfinger as his crew chief. His biggest track prior to this was Talladega, where things fell into place. Not a lot of cautions, not a lot of worries about where to restart. Things are different here in this 1.5 miles for the
All right, look right here, Jim. He's 3rd. Okay, the caution is out. They're getting ready to go. The 1 to go comes out here, and John West-Townley rolls around, but for some reason the 23 just doesn't keep going, and everybody goes around him there. I don't know whether they had an electrical issue of some kind, but it looked like his car did not continue running. And there he gets it back in gear. It's almost like it wasn't running. Alex, do you know more?
I know as much as you guys do. I talked to Grant Enfinger just a moment ago, as a matter of fact, twice. He's got a very, very disgusted look on his face, and he refused to tell me exactly why Brett Holmes slowed the car down going into turn number 1. Either way, they're frustrated here in the pit area.
Well, brand new race car for Brett Holmes, and again, this team has been on a bit of roll, running in 3rd position, but that is not where they'll restart. We'll see how it plays out for the driver from Munford, Alabama.
That young man, eyeballing a full season next year, running for Scott Rookie Challenge. In his 6th start of 7. You can run up to 7 in a given year before you lose your rookie declare status.
You know,
following season or following
Jim,
seasons.
that same kind of thing happened to Eric Jones here in an Xfinity race. You know, so I wonder, I can't wait to hear the real story of what happened for Holmes.
He's got to get realigned here again. He'll stay on the lead lap, but he'll have to line up back in the 11th position. That's where he formed back in with the field once that problem was corrected under caution.
All right, so down to the bottom will be the number 99. That's the PureTech Ford of Austin Cindric. Our leader is Briscoe. He's going to take the high side. Dalton Sargent was fighting for that spot on the inside of row number 2. He'll line up along with John West-Townley. We've got 1/4 of this race remaining from Kentucky tonight. 75 down, 25 to go. We'll see how it plays out here in our next to the last race of the season. Ready to go back to green. Briscoe about a quarter, ready to go, and they're in the restart zone. Here we go. Looks like the 99 has the preferred line. Dalton Sargent right down on that yellow line, trying to take that spot away from Chase Briscoe. They're racing side by side for second.
You know, we mentioned this is only the second.
Oh, Briscoe's in the wall as Townley makes contact with the right rear quarter panel. There were 3 wide coming off of turn number 2, and the wrecks continue as the 15 of Zane Smith hits the wall really hard. So Townley, the 77 and 15 all involved here. And our championship contenders in trouble. Lots of damage to that race car that they just recently repaired.
And that was a pure racing accident going for the same chunk of racetrack. Townley and the 77 of Briscoe. Briscoe on the older tires, Townley the fresh right side tires with at least 1 heat cycle on the scuffs. When they put them on, going into turn 3, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, Ray, that's what the drivers are saying. That is the issue. We are very, very loose going in the corner. We've got to drive through there. It's a very high risk area if you go in 2 wide, much less 3 wide. And on these restarts, everybody wants that piece of real estate at the same time.
Zane Smith's just 17, so he's not able to enjoy that margarita mix that's on the hood, but I'm sure he's going to be aggravated, as well as our championship contender, who is Chase Briscoe, with a large amount of damage on car 77. Let's take a look at a couple of replays here, Jim. This is
Sargent on the inside of number 55 Toyota runs the racing line. Briscoe looked to be on the outside, and Townley wanted to make it 3 wide on the very top. Not enough room for that.
I don't think there was room up there for John West to get his Jive Communications Chevrolet in there. We'll take a better look here. Here we go. Sargent down to the inside. Briscoe, I don't know.
So Townley did move off the number 55 of Dalton Sargent, but he was preparing for his entry in turn 3.
About the same spot that we saw Sarah Cornett Ching have contact with the 32, and from the onboard here on our General Tire of Josh Williams, you see cars going every which way. There's the 23.
There could be some fluid down as quickly as Briscoe got in the wall there, with the cars all sliding around in that first lap back up to speed. That was a mess there for a moment. Glad to see more cars not involved.
Now, obviously, we talked about the championship all through the course of the evening here. Tom Hessert running in 5th position tonight. There's no way that Chase Briscoe is going to be able to run at a competitive speed with this much damage to that race car. My prediction is they're going to have to go behind the wall. We'll find out how they handle it. Our championship contender in a crash with John West Townley. We're under caution once again. We're almost with 20 laps to go. Back in Kentucky, a major development tonight as Chase Briscoe up at the front of the field has big time contact in his big time Ford, and you see the team there going to work. They have gone behind the wall, trying to figure out how to get all these body panels pulled away and whether or not they can keep the radiator in the engine of that thing. They want to get out there and complete laps. And as we said, Tom Hessert running in 5th position tonight. Every point so important.
And when we talk about the overall General Tire Super Speedway Challenge, they're only 35 points ahead of the number 55 of Dalton Sargent's team. Sargent runs 2nd, so as Chase Briscoe is looking to lock up a number of awards, including already locking up the Valvoline Lap Leader Award and the Short Track Challenge presented by Protect Plus. This is a big award they wanted. They want to prove that this short tracker and this team can do well on super speedways. He held the lead in the championship with just the big tracks counting. And that's a big deal for the 35-point difference. They want to get back out there and get some laps in.
We saw the 15 of Zane Smith heading down pit road. Obviously, a lot of damage there. And once again, here's how it started. Down to the inside, Dalton Sargent.
Watch the yellow car.
Yep, and John West says, I've got a spot here. He rammed into there, and it just closed up tight, and that put the 77 in the wall. Now, John West is in the middle of the racetrack. Zane Smith goes around. We also see the 23 of Brett Holmes. He slides, but no contact. The 15 on its way to the garage with heavy right side damage, and we've also seen that John West Townley went to the garage in his 05. So 3 cars off the racetrack from this major contact.
2 very fast race cars that had led laps here tonight, John West Townley and Chase Briscoe, with those issues behind the wall. That again leads back to Austin Cindric and Dalton Sargent. He has done well. I was about to begin talking about how well Sargent's been. He's been bulletproof on the short tracks. The win at Berlin was almost a matter of time. But one thing to point out for this 18-year-old, He has finished 3rd and 4th at Pocono this year and 9th at Michigan. And that Sargent kid, I tell you, you get him and Billy Venturini in the same room, you're going to learn something, because those guys are on the same page.
Well, this is a look at the front-running cars right there. Austin Cindric came to pits last time on lap number 26. Dalton Sargent came in and got 4 tires on lap number 70. Fuel is not going to be an issue for the 99. We know that now because of the number of caution laps we've had. But the question is, did any of these guys behind them, Sargent, Weatherman, Tift, or Hessert, did any of them make good enough adjustments to be able to go up there and challenge Austin Cindric?
Frankie Kimmel is the spotter for the number 55 of Sargent. So if they play it the way they should, and this is just me talking, play it where they stay with the number 99 of Austin Cindric. Watch the stopwatch. If Cindric's pace starts to slow, that's when you want to make your move. Don't make it the move too early. Cindric's car is so good it could be 4 or 5 laps of side-by-side racing. With fresher tires for Dalton Sargent sitting back there in 2nd, I would say play the patience game. Wait for your opportunity once your tires are a bit better on wear than our race leader.
We're on board with our Gree on board, and we know that he started 9th tonight, so pretty good run for the number 98. And he's in trouble. I'm sorry. Gus Dean is back marred further back. But when we look at Matt Kurzieski in car number 52, he currently runs in 8th, and that's our Anselm Menards on board. He started 14th.
Josh Williams has done a masterful job of staying on the lead lap at 9th. He's probably pitted more than anyone else on the lead lap, trying to make those adjustments. He last came down pit road, I believe, in that most recent. No, he did not. Yes, he did. He came in on our most recent caution. And we start the race in 11th.
Yeah, he came in on lap 70, and remember, he qualified 18th, so nice move forward for the Musselman's Applesauce team and our General Tire on board.
He restarted 11th, I should say. He's up to 9th with those 2 lead lap cars behind the wall.
All right, check this out. The lights are out on the Kentucky Speedway pace truck, and we're going to see how this one's going to play out. Austin Cindric with older tires, and to the outside, Dalton Sargent. Weatherman and Tift in row number 2. Then it's Hessert and that 32 of Shane Lee. That 32 car's been fast through the course of the night, so can Austin Cindric hold all these guys off who have fresher tires that all pitted on lap 70?
Trying to get heat back in these tires in a quick way. That's why they weave up and down the backstretch, cleaning off the tires. Not a lot of oil dry put down in 3 and 4, so that was not a surface issue when those cars went trying to avoid, I believe, the spinning car in the groove. The 05 of John Westalley put the 15 of Smith and the 23 of Brett Holmes around.
So Cindric down to the inside, the TRD Toyota to the high side. We'll see how the restart goes here. This could be the most critical moment of our race tonight. 18 laps to go, and we get ready to go back to green flag racing here at Kentucky. A little side-by-side rubbing as the 99 makes contact with Dalton Sargent, and here we go, back to green flag. I don't think Dalton Sargent liked that much, Jim.
Nope, up the song here early. Sargent may have his chance here in a few laps, waiting for his tires to come in. There's not a race restart that we had our most recent caution develop quickly on the restart with tires with car with fresher tires, trying to make a move. So Sargent playing patient here, letting the 99 get that lead, settle back down. Crew Chief Billy Venturini, no doubt, is telling his driver, think bigger than just how to get him back now. We've got a better, faster race car on fresher rubber.
As we went back to green, Chase Briscoe in the garage area scored in 19th place right now. We'll keep an eye on where he is as we go forward in this race.
And with this point lead rate, there was a scenario of how many finishing positions he had to be within the number 25 of Tom Hessert, and he's outside that window right now. Won't be able to clinch here tonight the way this pace is going with the 25 of Hessert currently in the lead lap in the 5th position.
We got reports that Zane Smith has been released from the care center, so good news for that young driver. The 17-year-old made hard contact and flattened the right side of car number 15. Here goes a battle for position. The 32 is going by Tom Hessert, and that is for 5th place.
Shane Lee has got a really fast race car. He's had slower pit stops, which have put him back from lead to 8th. He also lost some pit stops, some positions on the track when he pitted with the others on lap 70. He's been able to pass cars at will in that number 32 machine for Wintron Racing.
Ansel Gloves and Menards, the sponsor of our in-car tonight, with car number 52. Matt Kurzieski having a good run in 7th right now.
Rebounded from a rub early. He and Lee got together on the restart right here in turn 1 and nearly sent Kurzieski's car around. He was able to recover from that. They made adjustments on that car. Donnie Richardson, the crew chief, Don Bowe and the spotter working together with this team all day long in a brand new race car. They're debuting here tonight.
Well, when we take a look at our front-running cars, we see the number 99 is coming by the start-finish line right now, and that differential between he and Dalton Sargent is 1.6 seconds. So far, the tire change has certainly not made any kind of an advantage for 55, 10, or 28.
Whip in hand, do you start at the rear quarters of your horse down this straightaway, or do you let the 99 take the breathe and come on back when it comes down to the stretch here in this horse race to the finish?
We'll find out as we're coming up on 10 laps to go here at the Kentucky Speedway for our next to the last race of 2016 for the ARCA Racing Series.
You know, the finale is October 14th on another mile-and-a-half track at Kansas Speedway. That'll be here on Fox Sports 1. Looking forward to seeing how that race plays out. If this is any foretelling, we'll see Austin Cindric in that race. We'll see Kyle Weatherman in that race with a fresh, healthy race car. We'll see Dalton Sargent in that race as well. Those are the top three cars. They're learning a lot here. Not a lot of experience on these mile-and-a-half tracks. Heather?
Here now with John West Townley. John, you had a fast car there. You led some laps, and then you made contact with the 77. What happened out there?
Well, you know, on that restart, my shifter hung up from second to third, so I got a little bit behind, but got a good run on those guys going down the back stretch. The 77 kind of left the door wide open, so you know, I saw it and I went for it. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't think the spotter, you know, told me I was there or coming, and just a racing incident. I hate it for these guys. You know, we had a really fast 05 Jive Chevrolet. I mean, all weekend, you know, we've been competitive. You know, I hate it for the 77 too, but at the end of the day, you know, it's just one of those deals. You know, inside, well, almost inside the last 20 laps, you know, people aren't really going to give and take, and we were in taking mode, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out this time.
Tough break there for John West Townley, right, guys?
Absolutely, Heather, and we we'll expect to see him in our season finale. Briscoe right now scored in 20th position. Tom Hesser currently runs in 6th.
Williams again up to 4th in the point standings. He knows he can make some ground up. Getting back up to his highest second this season is something he can reach with a good finish here today. However, he's racing with other points rivals, including Tom Hessert and Matt Krzyzewski right now ahead of him on the track.
Now, Jim, we should clarify here, in order to clinch today, before we went to the final race of the season, Briscoe needed to leave with a 505-point lead. That's because ARCA Racing Series gives a 250-point bonus if you attend each of the consecutive 5 races. If both of these guys start when we go to Kansas, it is still a foregone conclusion that the 77 wins the championship. So we have to be careful about how the story is told, but he cannot leave here tonight with a guarantee.
And Briscoe's car again still being worked on behind the pit wall. If he just joined us, he was involved in an incident with John West Townley we just heard from on a restart. Both very fast race cars going from the same place on the racetrack down the backstretch.
Briscoe now scored in 21st. Townley 22nd.
Yeah, Williams is doing a nice job here. Josh has really gotten his Chevrolet working. I saw some frustration not only in how he approached things, but as he came in the pits, he just had to get out of that car and do some changes himself. He's been working really hard on his race car since he and his crew chief Danny Johnson split ways mid-season. Williams making a lot more of the calls, and it looks like he's again one of those drivers that stays in the contention, puts it on when he has to. I mentioned schooling them on tires. He won 2 short track races this year by pitting early for 4 tires, and then other teams not having the same opportunity to pit, and he ended up winning 2 races. And at Madison, he just had a really good.
Oh, another crash as Shane Lee goes around, and that's Weatherman. So 2 cars with a spin, and Weatherman was running in 4th place, Lee in 5th, and we are going to go under our 6th caution of the night as we were closing in on 5 laps to go. So some more hard racing coming off of turn number 2, and these guys are into the wall. Weatherman has had a rough night tonight, but he was running in the top 5.
The drivers are telling me off of turn number 2, it used to narrow up. The banking would come up to the wall, it felt like, on the old pavement. That's been smoothed out. It's a beautiful, fast surface here, but the drivers have said that's not nearly the concern I have other than the wide, flat turn 3 entry. Well, turn 2 is still troublesome here at Kentucky Speedway. A lot of folks are taking notice that that is where we've had more incidents than tonight than any other place. Shane Lee, another good run. Had a run to 2nd place last race at Chicagoland and had a tire go down, hit the wall. They reclipped that car. And Lee again in the middle of it, running top 5 when this incident took place.
So a couple of our front runners in trouble here. Down to the inside, that's Weatherman. They're racing with the number 28.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. And Mark Thompson just comes up in front of Weatherman. Wow.
Nowhere to go on that one, and that's a lot of damage.
Notice how the 66 car trying to stay low just could not hold it on the banking in those speeds.
So Shane Lee on the high side gets a little bit of damage. Weatherman,
a lot of damage,
hits the inside and the outside.
This is their only race car, Ray, and they want to be racing October 14th at the Kansas Speedway, our finale. That's a lot of work to be done on that race car.
So under the caution for the 6th time tonight here at Kentucky, we see Kyle Weatherman jumping out of car number 10. That's the good news. The bad news is a great amount of damage on this Crosley Brands number 10 race car. It looks like they may be done for the night. And we will find out how this is going to play out. It looks like we're going to go into overtime with a green-white checkered finish tonight here at Kentucky. We'll give you more of that information coming up here shortly. So Austin Cindric is our leader. Remember, he was last on pit road on lap 26. That's going to tighten it up once again with he and Dalton Sargent as we get ready to finish this one. Looking for a great way to spend your weekday mornings? Well, how about checking out Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp? They go head-to-head every week on the hottest topics in sports. Undisputed with Shannon and Skip. It's weekdays at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, only on FS1. So, folks, here's the scenario as we get ready to go back to racing. Austin Cindric is our leader. Dalton Sargent is in second. But because this is a fairly lengthy caution, it appears we are going to have a green-white checkered. But we want to find out more on what the leader is thinking, so let's get it back down to Heather DeBow.
Well, Ray, right now they are telling Austin Cindric to save fuel. They last pitted on lap 26, so it's been a while. As you can see here, he is weaving the car back and forth because he wants to get as much fuel as he can into the right side of the fuel tank where the pickup is. His crew chief, Brian Wilson, said, make sure you do that because we don't want any issues on this restart.
Absolutely. If you sputter a little bit with not enough fuel, that could be the deciding factor here as we get ready for a green-white checkered here in the ARCA Racing Series. Our 6th caution of the night, Jim.
And as the leader, he's the control car in that restart zone. So if that car sputters, Dalton Sargent will have to try to stay even with him because there could be a penalty if you get too far ahead of the leader in the restart zone. So it really does rely upon Cindric and this young 18-year-old getting a good, clean restart and getting all that fuel in there and getting up to speed quickly, because Sargent will have to pay a price, and that could be a whole different scenario with Sargent, again, not having a ton of experience on mile-and-a-half racetracks, working with this young race leader on this final restart.
Austin Cindric's making just his 3rd start of the season. Again, we talked about that great run he had at Pocono. For Dalton Sargent, it's been the master of top 10s this year, and obviously Dalton Sargent picked up his first win of the season earlier, so been a lot of fun to watch a bunch of these young drivers get their first victory of the year.
And Shane Lee was involved in that crash with Weatherman on the backstretch. He never made it to pit road. They said, let's try to finish this one. He's restarting 4th.
And check this out, Jim. When we talk about guys with no career wins in the series, how about Matt Tifft? How about Austin Cindric? How about Shane Lee? We're talking about Krzyzewski. And how about Brett Holmes? All of those guys tonight in contention in the top 10. This thing could really play out with an interesting finish to it. Could we see another driver get their first career win of the season?
That's 6 of the top 8 cars on this restart. I say it's the final restart. We will finish under green here. This is a green-white checkered attempt as the lap 100 distance will be met this time. Pace car, lights out. Cindric with that low fuel load and the 55 of Dalton Sargent with tires and fuel to his outside.
7 drivers have picked up their first career win this season. A year ago, we had 10 of them. So lots of young talent here in the ARCA Racing Series. Can Cindric add his name to the list? Can Matt Tifft find a way to get up there and contend for it? How about Shane Lee? Who's it going to be tonight here at Kentucky? Down to the inside, it's the PureTech Ford. Austin Cindric weaving sideways to make sure there's plenty of fuel. Dalton Sargent saw how he rubbed him last time. Here they go, 2 by 2. Green flag is out. We're ready for a 2-lap dash.
Sargent for a moment was on the rear quarter. The race leader decided to let Cindric go through. Cindric lost the race earlier this year at the ARCA Racing Series run at Pocono when Grant Enfinger Winger stayed out on fuel and stretched it. That might have played in the hand of Cindric here in the decision to stay out as long as they have.
Shane Lee having all kinds of problems with his race car. He has dropped back through the field, back to about 8th right now. Dalton Sargent trying to put some pressure on the young driver, Austin Cindric, but this time they'll come by for the white flag at Kentucky. 1.5 miles to go for the first win for Austin Cindric.
Matt Tiff back there in third, also pitted with Sargent with 30 laps remaining in this race. He's on a charge in that black and yellow Chevrolet. For the final time, Ray, Cindric appears to have enough fuel through turn 3.
All he's got to do is get through the center of 3 and then through 4. He should have enough fuel to get all the way through the tri-oval here at Kentucky. And Austin Cindric from Mooresville, North Carolina will get his first career win in ARCA. He wins at the Kentucky Speedway.
Cindric becomes our 8th first-time winner this season. Mentioned how dominant his car's been at times. At Pocono, he had a car that was a 1.5 seconds faster than the leader, Enfinger, who was on a fuel mileage saving run. That was reversed here today. Cindric had a fast car from start to finish.
Congratulations to Brian, his crew chief. He was able to make that gutsy call of saying, we'll pit on 26 and we're staying out. Our car's good enough. And guess what? It played out that way. All of the guys behind him had pitted on lap 70, got fresh tires, and they were not able to go up and challenge this young man. So a first-time victory. We'll hear from him when we come back to Kentucky. You're watching the ARCA Racing Series right here on FS2. Austin Cindric is 18 years old, and he has now put his name in the record books for the ARCA Racing Series. He becomes our 8th different first-time winner in 2016 as he wins tonight here at the Kentucky Speedway. This young man has been very, very impressive, winning in the IMSA Continental Sports Car Challenge, also in Global Rally Cross Lights. He's a medalist in the X Games, and now he's a winner in ARCA. Take a look at our General Tire race results tonight. Austin Cindric in the Ford, and guess what? Dalton Sargent had a nice challenge in car number 55 in his Toyota, but was not able to get up there and give a shot for the win, and Matt Tiff comes home in third.
But with that second-place finish, I believe Sargent has locked up the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge for Venerini Motorsports.
Take a look where your favorite driver finished. We see Kyle Weatherman now 7 laps back after that crash at the very end of the race. John West Townley and Briscoe out. That'll put Chase Briscoe in 22nd. He cannot lock up the championship tonight, but we will give him the crown whenever we go to the Kansas Speedway. Well, Cindric's in victory lane, and I believe Heather's there. Let's hear from the young man who's got his name now as a winner in the Crosley Brands 150.
That's right, Ray. He is the 8th first-time winner, as you guys mentioned, this season in the ARCA Series. Austin, he's super excited right now. He's getting some congratulations from his team here at Cunningham Motorsports. Austin, you've won in many different series. Here's his crew chief, Brian Wilson. Congratulations to the both of you. Austin, you've won in many different series. Now you got your first win here in ARCA. How does this win compare?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, all 4 of my ARCA races leading up to this, we've led laps, been in contention to win, and it's just come up short, and these guys have hustled real hard. And I got to thank Brian. This is, I believe, his first win as a crew chief, so big day for him. I want to thank him for all his hard work. Everybody's been on this 99 through this year and last year, and man, it feels good.
Brian made a heck of a call there to have you guys stay out. Were you worried at all that you were going to run out of fuel?
No, I think we're all good. I think Brian's call is the right thing. I got to thank ProTech, Cunningham, Ford Performance, everybody who helps out. Bell helmet. It's really cool for me to be wearing this helmet design with this 99. Greg Moore's helmet design, 99 number. Very cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alex?
Yeah, Dalton Sargent, obviously disappointed, but still a second-place finish today. Describe how this race played out for you.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was a really good night. I, got to say thank you to everybody at Venerini Motorsports, always bringing a great 55 Windows 10 Toyota Camry to the track. For my first time here at Kentucky Speedway, it was just a blast, the repave and everything. I think the track had a lot of grip. It was super fast. Difficult to pass for sure. I think, you saw most of the passing was done on the restarts and stuff. Just the outside lane was tough to run in, so obviously that happens when you have a repave. But overall, a great run for us. We had some troubles at the start, nothing our fault, but just kind of got caught up in some stuff. But as always, a great job to be able to come back and run top 3.
Second place finish for Dalton Sargent.
Well, thank you, Alex. A good effort tonight from the Venerini team, but once again, Cunningham Motorsports in victory lane for the 8th time in 2016. We'll hear from more drivers when we come back.